Hey, let's talk about the inheritance immediately. We were shocked by my sister's words. I wonder how much of Grandpa's inheritance I'll get. Assuming it's $1 million. She was so cute when she was little. When did my sister become so obsessed with money? My name is Kiera. I'm 35 years old. I'm a single woman focused on my career. I have no plans to get married anytime soon, and I'm enjoying my single life. I work as a caregiver. As people often say, caregiving is indeed a tough job. There's a lot to do, and building relationships with the people we care for is challenging. It can be physically and mentally exhausting at times. But just hearing a client say, "Kiera, thank you so much. You always help me out," gives me the strength to keep going. It makes me truly feel that I'm in the right job. Kiera, is it time for you to finish? I'll take over. As I was washing used towels, a coworker called out to me. I'm always grateful to you. Could you take care of the rest? Of course, have a good rest. It was 5 p.m. She had the night shift from then until morning. I was supposed to do night shifts too, but I had special circumstances. My workplace understood and accommodated my situation. I am truly grateful for that. I thanked the staff who were on the night shift and quickly headed home. My house is about a 20-minute drive from work. I'm home, Grandma. Hi, Kiera. My grandmother was preparing dinner for my grandfather. Grandma, have you eaten yet? I'm just about to. Then let's eat together with Grandpa. All right, let's do that. I live with my grandparents. The reason is to take care of my grandfather. It might be rare for a grandchild to take on caregiving, but it wasn't forced on me. I chose to move in. I lost my mother when I was young, and it was just my father raising us. He was often busy and worked late on weekdays. So, my younger sister and I were often left at our paternal grandparents' house. I loved their cozy home with my kind grandparents. However, my sister didn't feel the same and was often rebellious toward them. Grandpa's house is so old-fashioned. Grandma's clothes are so lame. My father and I would sternly scold her every time, but she wouldn't listen. She forgot how much our grandparents cared for us and did whatever she wanted. The only time she acted sweet was when asking for pocket money. Our grandparents, who doted on us, would give in and hand over money to her. This was a common occurrence. Even after starting her job, my sister would come to our grandparents whenever she ran out of money. When she got married 5 years ago, she even demanded $10,000 as a wedding gift. My father and I harshly reprimanded my greedy sister. What do you think Grandpa and Grandma are, anyway? Huh? It's their grandchild's wedding. They should be generous. My sister was as unreasonable as ever. You need to stop this. You're being way too selfish. My father scolded her severely, but in the end, our grandparents gave her the $10,000 as a gift. I told them it wasn't necessary to give that much, but they said, "It's all right, it's a celebration," and gave it willingly. It would be bearable if she at least showed some gratitude, but neither my sister nor her husband did. They acted like it was their right to receive the money. That's why I didn't like my sister and her husband very much. Since interacting with them only made me frustrated, I kept my distance after her marriage. 2 years ago, my grandfather suffered a stroke and became bedridden. We considered placing him in a facility after discussing it with my father and relatives. But my grandmother was adamant about not being separated from him. I will take care of him until the end. Even to me, it was clear that my grandparents were very close. The idea of forcibly separating them was heartbreaking. However, my grandmother was over 80 years old. Taking care of him alone would be tough. That's when I made up my mind. I decided to move in with my grandparents. I owed them so much for raising me. I wanted to repay their kindness. And as both a caregiver and a grandchild, support them. I requested a transfer at my job and moved into their house. Now, my grandmother and I take turns caring for my grandfather. This was the reason I couldn't work night shifts at my current job. I am incredibly grateful to my workplace for accommodating my request. They really let me have my way. Grandpa seems to be in a good mood today. My grandmother said as she wiped my grandfather's body. Yes, he looks like he's smiling. Even though my grandfather was bedridden and couldn't speak, my grandmother and I somehow understood his feelings each day. It's hard work, but I can do it because I love my grandparents so much. That's how much I loved them. One day, my grandmother was out for a gathering with her friends, and I was at home taking care of my grandfather's meals. "Grandpa, is it tasty?" My grandfather said nothing. But I felt his gentle eyes expressing gratitude. Just then, the front door opened roughly. "Oh, you're here, Kiera. What are you doing here?" My sister barged into the house. Even though she's family, I was a bit annoyed. "Nothing, just came to check on Grandpa." As if she really cared about him. I thought so but didn't say it out loud. "So, how is Grandpa?" "Nothing much has changed." She asked but didn't seem very interested. "By the way, where's Grandma?" "She's out right now, but do you need something?" "Not really, just wondering." "What is she up to?" "Still, this house is as old as ever." My sister looked around the house as if she were evaluating it. I grew more suspicious, sensing she had some ulterior motive. "Hey, has Grandma told you anything?" "Told me what?" "Grandpa's inheritance." I was utterly exasperated. Grandpa is still alive. Why bring up such a topic? It's incredibly disrespectful. Why are you even concerned about that? Because it's better to discuss these things before it's too late. It's less hectic that way. That's enough. Did you come just to talk about this? What's wrong with that? We need to discuss these things when we have time. Why do you feel the need to butt into the inheritance discussion? My sister and I started arguing right there. I knew what she was after. She just wanted money. It's really shameful, even though she's my sister. While we were arguing, Grandma came home and said, "I'm back." "Oh, you're here. Hi, Grandma. It's been a while." My sister sweet-talked her way up to Grandma. Grandma gave me a wry smile. "By the way, Grandma, can I ask you for a favor? Could you lend me some money? I'm a bit tight this month." Grandma looked troubled, so I stepped in. "Come on, you're a grown woman." "What are you saying?" "Stay out of it, Kiera." "I'm asking Grandma. Can't you see you're making her uncomfortable?" "Not at all. A grandchild is asking, right, Grandma?" My sister looked up at Grandma with a pleading smile. Her intention to get money was all too obvious and tacky. "I'm sorry, I just paid at the gathering and don't have any cash on hand." Grandma skillfully deflected my sister's request. "Oh, really? Okay, then. I'll be going now." My sister left without further fuss. I sighed with relief and looked at Grandma. "Sorry about that, Grandma. You have nothing to apologize for, Kiera. I bought some cakes, let's have some together." Grandma smiled gently. What a troublesome sister. What does she mean by a bit tight this month? Both she and her husband work and they don't have kids, so why are they asking for money? I soon found out why. It turned out that my sister and her husband had bought a house. Neither my father nor I knew about it, but they were building a large 4-bedroom house. Construction had already started, and it would be finished in 6 months. What's more, it's in the heart of the city. Building such a large house in a prime location, is that really okay? Since Dad hasn't provided financial support, maybe my sister's husband's family did? But I shouldn't be worrying about that. If they already bought the house, they must have passed the loan screening and have a repayment plan in place. Or so I thought. Just before my sister's house was completed, Grandpa passed away. He developed pneumonia, and it took him quickly. Grandpa's funeral was conducted quietly according to his wish beforehand, but I was devastated by his loss and cried throughout the funeral. Grandma was the one who comforted me. Grandpa was happy, Kiera. You took such good care of him. So, don't cry, let's send him off with smiles. Grandpa was happy. That one sentence truly saved me. Grandma's serene face was unforgettable. After the funeral, when the family gathered at Grandma's house, my father, Grandma, and I reminisced about Grandpa, sharing our memories. While we were enjoying our conversation, my sister was restless, whispering with her husband and unable to sit still. Then, she spoke up as if she'd made up her mind. "Hey, what about Grandpa's inheritance?" Everyone in the room froze. It hadn't even passed a week, and she was already bringing this up. My father quickly tried to stop her. "What are you saying? We need to discuss this now before it's too late." She was saying the same thing she did when Grandpa was alive. Her mind was always on money. "Come on, let's talk about it now." She excitedly tried to push the conversation forward. "Considering the size of this lot and the land value, it's roughly $1 million, right? When did she even look that up?" While my father and I were dumbfounded, Grandma calmly sipped her coffee. "We have to pay for the house. When can we expect the money?" "Stop it." I tried to halt her, but my sister kept talking. "We took out a loan expecting the inheritance. We need to get what we're entitled to." Her husband nodded along. This couple really knew nothing. I revealed a crucial fact to them. Grandchildren don't have inheritance rights. "What?" My sister responded with a bewildered, foolish look. "What are you misunderstanding?" My father asked, looking at her strangely. Confused, she turned to Grandma. "What do you mean?" "Why not?" Dad stepped in to explain. "The heirs are the spouse and the children. Grandchildren aren't heirs." "No. I didn't know that." "How can that be?" She looked shocked. "What about a will? Didn't Grandpa leave a will?" "There isn't a will. Dad said to distribute the inheritance according to the law." "What? Then how are we supposed to pay for the house?" My sister and her husband looked utterly devastated. "What payment are you talking about?" When I asked, my sister said, "Grandpa's inheritance was supposed to come in, so we set a large down payment. The due date is next month." She began shouting loudly. Upon closer examination, it turned out they had stretched themselves thin with the mortgage on that house. I had assumed her husband's parents had helped, but it seemed they borrowed up to the maximum limit on their own. They planned to make a down payment of $100,000 to lighten the monthly loan burden, but their plan fell apart. "Is there really no money for me?" "Not even a little?" She asked Dad and Grandma again, but the answer remained the same. No matter how much she fussed, the law wouldn't change. "There's none." When Dad said that, my sister flew into a rage. "This is ridiculous. You spent so much of Grandpa's money yourself. It's unfair." She directed her anger at me. "Stop saying strange things. I didn't do anything like that. You're lying. You pretended to care for Grandpa just to get his money." I was stunned that my sister thought that way. I couldn't find the words to respond. I knew it was fishy. No one volunteers to care for their grandparent unless there's money involved. "You should pay for our house's down payment. You took so much from Grandpa." She said this triumphantly. I was so hurt and angry that I could only bite my lip. Then, Grandma, who had been quietly sipping her coffee, spoke up. "How dare you say such things to Kira? You ungrateful wretch." Everyone was shocked by Grandma's firm tone, normally so gentle. It's ridiculous to rely on someone else's money, even if they're family, to build a house. "But, Grandma, we really need help. Handle it yourselves." Grandma's sharp words silenced my sister. "You need to reconsider how you're living. If you continue like this, you'll ruin yourselves." My father's words made my sister tremble. Feeling awkward after Grandma and Dad's firm stance, my sister and her husband left in a hurry. Later, my sister and her husband couldn't secure the down payment by the deadline and tried to switch to a full loan. But their application was denied. They never even set foot in the new house and had to give it up. Despite her tears, there was nothing they could do. In the end, they were left with a $200,000 debt. My sister lamented, "I shouldn't have bought a house, but it was too late." She now works day and night to repay the debt. It's astonishing that both she and her husband didn't understand how inheritance works. Since losing the house, my sister has repeatedly asked Dad for money. But Dad, unwilling to easily lend her money, firmly refused. She also came to me, saying, "Please, Kiera, help your dear little sister." What a dear little sister indeed. Of course, I didn't want to help her either, and I told her, "Sorry, but I don't have the means." In truth, I have enough savings, but I have no obligation to lend her money. There's no guarantee she'd repay me anyway. Why? You could help me out since I'm in trouble, she said weakly, but I remained unmoved. Let this be a lesson to you, stop relying on others. I offered my advice, but I wondered how much of it would actually sink in. By the way, Grandma. What is it? After a while, since Grandpa's funeral, I asked my grandmother about something that had been on my mind. Why did you say that to my sister back then? I was curious about the true meaning behind Grandma's harsh tone. I had never seen her so angry or heard her raise her voice before. Because she said such terrible things to you, Kiera, after all you did for Grandpa. No matter how much I love my grandchildren, I couldn't forgive her for saying that to you, my dear granddaughter. I was so touched by how much Grandma cared for me that I couldn't hold back my tears. Kiera, thank you so much. Grandma, I'm the one who's grateful. When I'm gone, I think I'll leave this house and land to you, Kiera. Don't talk like that. It's not appropriate. Having such a wonderful granddaughter like you makes me feel so blessed. I feel ready to go whenever the time comes. Even though Grandma said that, I wanted her to live as long as possible. I was filled with the desire to cherish her for many more years. I'm determined to be a good granddaughter. Grandma, thank you for everything, and here's to many more years together.